It's really great seeing you, and congratulations. It's not only now 8 months that you rejoined SAP, it is also that this was a fantastic sapphire, wasn't it? I have seen 3 key messages, and basically all are directly related to what you are driving as president for the Intelligent Spend Management and Business Network Group, starting with the network, business networks, and network of networks. The second one, sustainability, which is an integrated part of every supply chain, as well as also procurement, because procurement connects with all the suppliers on that. And finally, the intelligent enterprise, not so much a surprise, but basically the IT infrastructure on that. So this was really a great start, and I was amazed also seeing the new format on that. So I think the audience and also I would love to learn a little bit about what are the highlights for your business group, Intelligent Spend Management and Business Network. So would you share this with us?
Sure. Thanks, Marcel. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you, and I agree. I think it was a great kickoff to Sapphire Now. Obviously, still in a virtual setting this year. Hopefully, next year we'll be back in person. But I think it was a great kickoff with Christian and Julia, and then the interview with Hasso at the end. And I think, what was great, I think, was, how all the different parts of the strategy are really coming together now. And obviously, they parallel very much the way we're thinking about ISBN. It's been a great, 8 months in my Zoom-based existence here at SAP. But I think we've made a lot of progress. I think we have some amazing capabilities across ISBN, and I think what's really great now is how well aligned we are in terms of our mission. The mission we've defined is to help our customers align every spend decision to their business strategy in the networked economy. And what's interesting is you'll sort of see that breakdown in very much parallel what Christian and Julia talked about today. One is the idea of the intelligent enterprise, this idea that you have a platform that helps really all the resources across your organization connect more effectively in support of the business mission that you have. That's really the core of our ISBN strategy. When we think about the broad area of spend management, whether it's direct or indirect procurement or employee discretionary spend like we have with Concur or contingent labor with Fieldglass, they each have, critical business functionality that's very unique to those business processes, but within the broader intelligent enterprise, so that people have an understanding of how their different business strategies need to be implemented in their spend strategies. So that's one key part of the strategy. The second, of course, is the network model, which is really this idea of the business network as really the new foundation for business, a place for trading partners, customers and suppliers, shippers and carriers to come together in a common place to do what I think SAP has always done very well, which is help people define best practices and business processes, but extend that now beyond the organization to think about that in a true network-based model. And that's kind of the foundation piece, for business network. And then I think the other is sustainability, which is, when you talk to, a chief procurement officer today, the 3 C's of the past, cost control and compliance, they're still important, and they're still looking at how they manage the trade-off between financial and operational considerations. But now it's basically been extended to how do we trade off those decisions with decisions that impact things from an environmental perspective, like our CO2 footprint or the amount of waste in our packaging process. So managing that becomes important. And then the latest, I think, focus now is around social dimensions, ethical sourcing, the ability to have a diverse supply chain. Those are the balancing decisions that our customers are now looking for, and really the mission that we're really focused on as our organization.
Well done. That's very insightful. And I can imagine how tough it was, first of all, joining and basically being just connected on Zoom, and nevertheless, getting your arms really around all the loose ends and integrating that to make a holistic vision and roadmap out of that. Fantastic. Could you share probably a little bit more about how will the customers benefit really from the innovations you mentioned, the roadmap you have put together, but also from the integration? We haven't talked about that, and we know how important it is really getting all the different solutions integrated. So what are the benefits for the customers, what they can expect now and after Sapphire when you really make all these solutions available and continue with your roadmap?
Absolutely. So I think you could sort of put into sort of two broad categories. One is we're continuing to push what we think of as best in category capabilities. So in the world of indirect procurement, where sourcing is the start of the process and so critical to finding the right suppliers and basically supporting your business. One of the things that has happened is that sourcing events have become pretty complicated, and yet more and more individuals and organizations are responsible for raising sourcing events. So we've created within our Reba solution something called guided sourcing, which is sort of a one-page, simple to use way to find the best suppliers for any event, and still allows for fairly complex functionality like multi-round bidding and so on, but creates a really simple way for really anyone in the organization to basically manage a sourcing event and find the right suppliers for any work that you're doing. In field class with contingent labor, we've added assignment manager, which allows you to manage a fairly complex process of multiple workers coming onto multiple projects in say asset intensive industries like oil and gas. It's a real breakthrough, we think, in helping people manage that kind of complexity, but in a very, very simple way. So we continue to focus on category excellence, but we're also really focusing on integration, because we know in many cases you're buying material, but you're also adding contingent labor. So integrating very deeply at the data level and the process level, our contingent labor solution with Fieldglass, with S4, with the Ariba network is really important, because it creates that continuum from a business process and data perspective across these best-in-class solutions. And then I think the other thing is intelligence. So more and more, our focus is not just on process excellence, so making sure we're providing the insight as part of these applications. So all of our applications through the course of this year will now be leveraging the SAP Analytics Cloud, so that you have a common reporting capability, common visualization tools, whether you're looking at contract labor or you're looking at direct material procurement, but you have a common platform now for getting that kind of an insight. And we think that's obviously going to provide a lot of benefit to our customers. And then, of course, the foundation for all of this going forward is going to be the business network, which is really going to allow trading partners to connect more actively to create a much more collaborative environment for trading partners to work together.
Well done. That's really impressive. And everyone who knows you is aware that you are a thought leader in the cloud software industry, but also very experienced also in really getting a roadmap defined out of the different buckets. I like the guided sourcing and the elements you have really helping now the businesses to go to the next level. Let's probably step back for a second from the pure software side, because you are absolutely the professional in software development, no doubt about, but much more as a thought leader with all the experience you have. But you're also talking to a lot of CPOs, procurement executives, and also different C-level executives. And I would be very much interested, and probably the audience would enjoy getting your thoughts about, what do you see as the next big thing for the future of procurement? What is it really, what might impact the function going forward? I think on the other side, this needs to be built in the software later on anyhow, but probably also some insights you would love to share with us on that.
Yeah, I think I think it's a great point, and I always I always sort of take carefully the statement that I'm a thought leader, because I would say that I become a thought leader by talking to our customers on a regular basis, by talking to the CPOs, the COOs, the CIOs who are running these companies, because they're the ones who are thinking about the future of business and where they need to go and supporting it. And frankly, the greatest, all real innovation comes when the business need and the technology meet each other. So it's really much, I think, the collaboration we have with customers that leads to that kind of innovation. I think, the core concern for every CPO, CIO, COO I talk to, head of supply chain, is that alignment between their strategy and the business strategy. And how did they support global marketplaces in a world in which supply chains are becoming increasingly fragmented, and the measure of a good supplier is changing, right? It's not just about the cost that they have and the quality of goods. It's what are their business practices? How do they source their products? What does their supply chain looks like? It's become a world that is both global and has tremendous need for transparency in the specific business partners and relationships that you have. And so spend management, within the world of supply chain has become really the key focal point for thinking about business in evolution from one that was just about shareholder capitalism to one that's more about stakeholder capitalism and thinking about the broader impact business has in the world. Spend is at the very center of that. So this idea of aligning your spend strategy, your business strategy is becoming really fundamental. And what people have realized is all the things that they know they should have been doing around digitization, moving to a common platform for supporting these, in some cases, very different business units that are part of their company has gone from being a nice to have and an advantage to something that's really fundamental to driving this kind of change. So, when I talk to CPOs, it's very much about, what's the strategy for moving in this direction? And similar to cloud software, where we have to make kind of continual incremental improvements, businesses are now following that same strategy. That they can see an endpoint of a common platform, but they know that every step they take in that direction has to provide incremental business value to their companies. So a lot of these discussions are around how do you make that transition in a way that is operationally efficient and provides that kind of continual value to the organization. So every investment has a return on it, not something you're waiting for 3 years down the road, but something that every step along the way is improving the business's ability to operate.
Awesome, John. Many thanks for sharing your thoughts and the insights from all the meetings, what you have. I know how busy your schedule looks right now. Catching up with the different time zones. I think the only good thing probably is, except of being on Zoom day and night, that travel is not coming on top of that. But appreciate your time and was so good talking to you. And I'm pretty sure that everyone will enjoy getting your thoughts on the procurement and the intelligent spend management and business network strategy, as well as how you see the future for procurement.
Great.
Thank you very much, John. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you, Marcell. Good talking with you.
Take care.